everyone, this is Alana with FidgetHaven Reviews, and today I'm reviewing the Phat Boy Nano by Joe Garritano at Steampunk Spinners. The Phat Boy Nano is a tri-spinner that's shaped like a radioactive symbol. It's fantastically tiny. It has a diameter of 1.25 inches and it weighs 23.9 grams on my scale. The body is made of stainless steel and the buttons are made of brass. They do have a version available that's made of copper with brass buttons as well. As I mentioned, the spinner is absolutely tiny. I was immediately interested in it when I saw it compared to a quarter. I think that its size is near perfect for me. The stainless steel body has what appears to be a very lightly polished machine finish. There's a chamfer that goes around the edges throughout. Let's see if I can get this to focus. There we go. And it not only improves aesthetic, but it also reduces any hot spots. Now I do have one chamfered edge that is a little bit sharp, not so much as to hurt or cut me, but it is noticeable. Now while the radioactive symbol never specifically interested me, I have to say that I'm pleasantly surprised by how effective it is for a spinner. I find that the spaces between each of the arms is really a perfect little nook for catching and releasing when I'm spinning, and I can catch one nearly every time I try. Another thing is that the inward slant on each of the arms prevents your finger from accidentally slipping without getting a good flick, and it means that every flick is honestly incredibly satisfying. The threaded buttons are made of brass, and they are very shiny and quite smooth. There's a small lip that goes around the edge, which assists mildly with grip when you're holding it with your fingers. Now, something that I've noticed as my nails have been growing longer is that the lip has become much more helpful, as I can just rest my nails against it and I don't even have to use my fingers to hold it. If you don't have nails, obviously, that's not going to work for you, but it's something that I found helpful as time has passed. I find that the buttons are comfortable, though they are slippery. I wouldn't be opposed to them having some sort of etched or engraved design on them that would increase the grippiness. The buttons measure in at 15 millimeters in diameter, and as the spinner itself is tiny, the buttons obviously are too. I don't have an issue with the diameter, and I find that they fit well with the size and shape of the spinner. The one area I feel could use tweaking is the thickness or height of the buttons. I find that the amount of space between my fingers is a little bit narrow, and that it does eventually lead to some hand fatigue. Another thing I find is that my fingers sometimes rub against the body of the spinner if I'm not holding it just perfectly, and that slows or stops my spin. So I think that adding a little bit of thickness, even 2 to 3 millimeters per button, would really benefit it greatly. I have mentioned it to Joe, though I'm not sure if he's taken my suggestion into consideration. The bearing that they chose to go with is a custom hybrid ceramic bearing. Its dimensions are approximately 14 millimeters for OD and 8 millimeters for ID. I have to say that when the spinner first arrived, I was nervous about its performance. Out of the box, my first two-handed table spin times were both 7 seconds each. The bearing arrived shielded, though I'm not sure if it had any grease or lubricant, whether oil or dry, within it. I didn't personally notice any. So I removed the shields and cleaned the bearing very thoroughly. My third two-handed table spin was 1 minute and 57 seconds. I was really pleased with the improvement. I would definitely recommend de-shielding and cleaning the bearing upon arrival if you do decide to purchase one. As you could tell, I didn't put the shields back on, and I don't think that they're necessary. The bearing, as you can probably hear, is fairly quiet, and the sound that it makes is really satisfying to me. The vibrations in the body of the spinner are very well dampened, so when you bring it to your ear while spinning, you can very distinctly hear the ball spinning around the races. It's reminiscent to me of full ceramic bearings, both in sound and feel. If you've never used ceramic, I don't really know the most effective way of explaining what they feel like. I am rather partial to the sound and feel of both ceramic bearings and this spinner, even though it's not ceramic. I wouldn't describe it as smooth. I would say that there's a mildly gritty both sound and feel to it, but it's gritty in a good way. It's not gritty like, oh my god, my bearing is dirty, there's something scratching or grinding or crunching inside, but it's just mildly gritty. I don't really know how else to phrase it. I think that the Phat Boy Nano is a really great addition to the tiny spinner category. Most tiny spinners are more circular in shape, and they're spun differently than standard size spinners. I appreciate that I can spin it like a traditional spinner by flicking between the nooks, or that I can pull down from the face. I find that most tiny spinners you end up holding between your middle finger and your thumb and spinning with your index finger, and I'm glad that not only do I have that option, but that I'm not stuck to it. Now, there is one downside to spinning it like a traditional spinner, and between how light it is and the slipperiness of the buttons, I have accidentally sent it flying more than a handful of times, both at home, in the car, and also out and about. It's not the end of the world, but it is something to keep in mind to make sure that you have a really good grip on it. One thing I've noticed is that since my nails have grown, I have a much easier time gripping it, but obviously that won't work for everybody. Overall, I'm really digging the Phat Boy Nano. It's discreet, it's fun to use, it's comfortable, you can get really strong spins with very little effort, and it has an amazingly satisfying feel and sound to it. There are some minor tweaks that I wouldn't mind seeing, but I'm also happy to keep it just as it is. Now, I do find that at $69, it is somewhat overpriced, and I think that it would be more appropriately priced in the $50 to $55 range, but I still think that, at least for me personally, it's worth having. I would categorize it as a concentration fidget, as it is super small and discreet, it's quiet, and you can also very easily play with it without paying any attention to it whatsoever. Although it is also good as a distraction fidget if that's what you're looking for. There's no fancy designs to it or anything, but I still find myself enjoying looking at it as it spins. I think that it's a great option for situations that require discretion, and I think that it's also a viable option for children, though it is a bit on the expensive side if you need to replace it if it's lost by a kid. Again, this is the Phat Boy Nano by Steampunk Spinners. I'm Alana from FidgetHaven Reviews. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to post them in the comment section below. I'll make sure to include a link both to the Steampunk Spinners Etsy page and to the written review in the description below. If you'd like notifications on future reviews, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. I hope that this review is helpful to you, and I appreciate you watching it. Thanks so much, and have a great day.